Born to an innkeeper in 1767, young Joachim Murat dreamed not of bread and wine, but of glory and gold. Destined for priesthood by his father, his spirit rebelled against the cassock and chose the saber instead. In 1787, he enlisted in the cavalry, a decision that would shake the thrones of Europe. The revolution transformed France, and with it, the innkeeper's son found his stage. In 1795, destiny introduced him to a Corsican artillery officer named Bonaparte. A meeting that would bind their fates forever. When Napoleon needed cannons to save the Republic, it was Murat who delivered them, earning the general's eternal gratitude. In Italy, Murat's cavalry charges became legendary, bold, beautiful, and devastating. Victory brought spoils, and Murat transformed himself into the most magnificently dressed warrior in Europe. When Bonaparte sailed for Egypt, Murat followed, loyalty to his general outweighing all other considerations. At the Battle of the Pyramids, Murat's horsemen shattered the legendary Mamelukes beneath the gaze of 40 centuries. Returning with Bonaparte from Egypt, Murat encountered something more dangerous than any cavalry charge: love for Napoleon's youngest sister. When Napoleon seized power, Murat provided the muscle, his soldiers' bayonets ending France's dying republic. Marriage to Caroline made him family to France's new master and ignited an ambition that would never rest. At Marengo, Murat's perfectly timed charge saved Bonaparte's career and secured his own immortality. As governor of Paris, Murat discovered he loved not just war, but the intoxicating theater of power itself. When Bonaparte became Napoleon the Emperor, Murat became a Marshal of France, but his ambitions reached for something more. Napoleon made him Grand Duke of Berg, a stepping stone that taught him the taste of sovereignty. After Jena, Murat's cavalry pursued the shattered Prussians for weeks. A pursuit so brilliant Napoleon called it legendary. Even in Poland's brutal winter, Murat refused to abandon his spectacular uniforms, vanity and valor inseparable. When Spain's crown became available, Murat reached for it, but Napoleon gave it to another, planting seeds of bitter resentment. Compensation came in the form of Naples, and Joachim Murat, innkeeper's son, became a king. On the throne of Naples, he swore to be not merely Napoleon's puppet, but a true king. He brought French reforms to his backward kingdom: roads, laws, and dreams of Italian glory. His army became a rainbow of military fashion: hussars in tiger skin, lancers in crimson, all reflecting their king's peacock soul. Caroline bore him 4 children and endless ambition, pushing him always toward independence from her brother. At Wagram, Murat commanded the largest cavalry charge in history, a moment of supreme glory. Sicily haunted him. The final piece to make his kingdom whole, forbidden fruit that Napoleon denied. In 1812, Napoleon summoned his brother-in-law to Russia, a campaign that would doom them all. He rode into Russia as he rode everywhere, at the front, in splendor, denying the approaching catastrophe. Moscow's flames consumed more than a city, they burned away illusions of invincibility. The retreat destroyed his magnificent cavalry, and with it, something broke inside the King of Naples. When Napoleon needed him most, Murat chose his crown over his emperor, a betrayal that could never be forgiven. Back in Naples, husband and wife faced their reckoning: would they stand with Napoleon or save their throne? Austria whispered sweet poison: keep your throne, keep your kingdom, just abandon Bonaparte. Leipzig shattered Napoleon's power and forced Murat to choose between loyalty and survival. In January 1814, he made his choice. Signing with the Allies against his benefactor, brother-in-law, emperor. He led his soldiers against France itself, a Judas in a jeweled uniform, purchasing his throne with betrayal. When Napoleon fell, Murat had his kingdom, but the price was a guilt that would never heal. At Vienna, Europe's legitimate monarchs made clear they would never accept an innkeeper's son as their equal. When Napoleon escaped Elba, Murat saw a chance to redeem himself or damn himself forever. He chose redemption over safety, honor over wisdom, declaring for Napoleon and dooming his kingdom. He marched north with dreams of uniting Italy 30 years before his time, a vision born of desperation. At Tolentino, the Austrians shattered his army, and with it, any hope of redemption. He fled the kingdom he had loved and modernized, a king without a throne, running for his life. Waterloo ended Napoleon's 100 days, and sealed Murat's fate as well. The peacock became a sparrow, hiding in French countryside, hunted by those he once commanded. He dreamed of America, of starting again, but could not abandon the stage that had defined him. Madness or courage, he would return to Naples, rally his people, reclaim his throne with just 250 men. With 6 small vessels and desperate followers, he sailed toward destiny or death, perhaps both. He landed at Pisa expecting welcome. Instead, his own former subjects raised arms against him. The greatest cavalry commander in history was taken by peasants and provincial soldiers, destiny's cruel irony. Imprisoned in the castle of Pisa, he had days to contemplate the extraordinary journey from inn to throne to cell. He wrote to his wife and children words of love mixed with regret for the ambition that destroyed them. The court-martial took minutes, the sentence, death. Murat faced it as he faced cavalry charges, without fear. His last night. A king, a marshal, a husband, a father, contemplating the innkeeper's son who had shaken Europe. At dawn, he dressed for death as he dressed for battle, with meticulous attention to appearance, theater to the end. He walked to the firing squad as he rode into battle, at the front, magnificently, setting the example. He refused the blindfold a cavalry commander faces death with eyes open. His final command was perfect. Murat, vain, brave, and utterly theatrical. On October 13, 1815, Joachim Murat died as he lived, dramatically, bravely, and far too soon. Caroline would live 34 more years, but never remarried, forever the widow of the King of Naples. The innkeeper's son became a marshal, a king, a legend. Joachim Murat lived the impossible dream and paid its price. His life was a cavalry charge, glorious, brief, and unforgettable. #extended epilogue. What manner of man was Joachim Murat? History has struggled to answer this question, for he was a walking contradiction, a warrior poet in silk and steel, a king who never forgot the inn where he was born, a loyal brother who became a traitor, a brilliant commander whose final campaign was pure folly. Those who knew him spoke of his physical courage with awe. On the battlefield, Murat seemed immune to fear, riding where bullets flew thickest, his elaborate uniforms making him a conspicuous target he refused to obscure. His soldiers adored him because he led from the front, sharing their dangers while outshining them in glory. Napoleon himself, never generous with praise, called Murat the finest cavalry officer in Europe, perhaps in history. At Eylau, at Friedland, at Dresden, Murat's charges turned battles, his instinct for the perfect moment of attack almost supernatural in its precision. Yet this same courage blinded him to political reality. He could read a battlefield with genius but could not read the hearts of kings and diplomats. When he betrayed Napoleon, he genuinely believed Austria and Britain would honor their promises.